This is Hammett.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support this show and get your ad-free and bonus episodes. We have so much to talk about, even though it's like not even our usual day to talk about stuff.
Again, the creep is happening fully 24 hours earlier than we usually do. Gang, this is going to come out on Sunday soon. It's just going to keep backing up.
We'll keep backing up. That's okay. We're going to start by, I wanted to ask you, do you have any idea what I'm talking about when I say Mehdi Hasan did this debate with 20 Republicans on the interwebs?
I know the name Mehdi Hasan, and I know the concept of somebody argues with 20 white dudes.
Pretty much.
But that's sort of all I have for you.
I think I mentioned this particular platform a couple of weeks ago because Jordan Peterson did this debate with like 20 atheists.
Yeah.
And I was one of the atheists who was asked to be part of the 20 atheists. They didn't realize I live nowhere near Los Angeles, cannot participate even if I wanted to, and they did not tell me it was Jordan Peterson.
And you did not want to.
And I would not have wanted to because question whether that accomplishes anything at that point.
Would you have, circumstances being different, would you have done it if...
Maybe.
Yeah?
Yeah. But here's what happened. Over the weekend, on Sunday, Jubilee, which is the YouTube channel that puts these on, they aired an episode of this show that they do called Surrounded, where Mehdi Hasan, the journalist who runs a website called Zateo, he's pretty much now a progressive commentator, fired from MSNBC last year. They fired a lot of people of color on that show.
Uh-oh.
But he does his own thing now. But his whole thing is he's really good at debate. He brings the receipts. If he's interviewing you, he knows what you have said about all these topics in the past.
Yeah.
So if they're going to do this sort of format with anybody, he's the guy to do it with.
Okay.
So the premise was Mehdi Hasan versus like 20... Their framing was 20 far-right conservatives.
Nazis.
And he got to pick the 4 issues that they were going to debate. And without getting into too many weeds here, the way this format works is one at a time, these 20 people can say, I want to debate him on point number 1, like Donald Trump promotes criminality, criminal behavior, stuff like that.
How could you
I want to debate him on
that?
Right. They go up to debate him, one person at a time. Everyone else has to shut the hell up. And basically, there's a 20-minute clock for this segment of the show. And if you, part of the viewing audience of 20 people, think, you know what, I don't like Jessica debating my side's position here. She's annoying me, or she said something stupid, I can raise a flag.
Doesn't sound like me.
And if 10 people raise their flags, you are kicked out of the circle. Someone else gets to jump in and continue the debate for that segment.
So basically, people decide this isn't representing our point of view well.
Or I don't like you for whatever reason. Maybe you said something stupid, whatever it is. Maybe you've hogged the circle for way too long and they want someone else to have a turn, whatever it is.
Maybe you're a human woman and they don't like that.
Honestly, when I was watching this, it's an hour, 40-minute video. And the first 20, 30 minutes, I'm like, there hasn't been a single woman speaking. And I think there's a few in the crowd, but they haven't stepped up yet. Eventually, a couple of them joined in, but whatever.
Well, their husband gave them permission.
So one of the people I wanted to focus on was this dude named Connor. He was hesitant to say his name. They do say the first name of the debater when they step into the circle, like the little chyron at the bottom says Connor, and that's all you know about them.
It doesn't give you age,
doesn't tell you anything else about them. Now, I want to point out, how did they find these 20 people? Well, how did they find the atheist debating Jordan Peterson?
They didn't email me again.
They must have found my stuff online and said, oh, this would be a representative we would like to have in the mix. I'm sure they also have a database of people who said I would be interested in these videos. Here's where I stand on various issues. So that way, if they say anti-abortion person versus 20 abortion advocates, they could find 20 people who are not just well-versed on the matter, but 20 people who have a very strong position on this issue, right? Okay, I don't know where they found these 20 far-right Republicans, but one of the dudes who steps into the circle is a guy named Connor. I'm going to play a few clips for you. Here's the first one. And again,
can you give me a sense of how old Connor is?
He looks to be in his 20s.
I knew it.
And even when he was asked, Mehdi just making small talk at the beginning, oh, what's your name? The guy was hesitant to answer, even though we all see his name at the bottom, because he goes by an online pseudonym. which is irrelevant.
Interesting.
But okay, let me play clip 1 for you, then we'll talk about it.
You're saying you don't care about the Constitution, but actually you do because you quite like the Second Amendment. You just don't like the bits that you disagree with. Can I just be clear on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm more than willing to amend it and include
Whenever
the
it's in your
Second Amendment.
favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So can Democrats do the same when they're in office?
No, absolutely not. Because
you don't
it's the
believe in
friend enemy.
democracy?
No, I don't. Absolutely not.
What do you believe in?
Autocracy.
By who?
Honestly, quite frankly, anyone who is in line with Catholic teaching.
So this guy is like a Catholic autocrat. And Mehdi
Autocrat
points out
means-
immediately, was like, Donald Trump is not Catholic.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't like Donald Trump. Okay, so this guy is not a far-right Republican. He's not even a Republican at this point. He's just
Right.
a fascist.
Yeah.
So this is Connor. And at this point, Mehdi Hasan's like, you're not even a fan of democracy. So why are you here to debate me?
Really quick, maybe I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I understand autocracy as self-governance, like
Yeah,
literally,
I
but
want
what
the
does
dictator.
that mean?
I want a dictator. I want a benevolent dictator who basically matches up. I want a good Catholic dictator is what this dude wants.
Wait, what's an autocrat? I just realized
Single
just one person in charge.
governance.
So autocracy isn't my individual freedom. It's,
Oh, no.
It's one person gets to make
it's
decisions.
the king makes all the decisions.
I see. I misunderstood what that meant.
This goes on for a while where Mehdi's trying to figure out, like, what exactly do you mean? How do we select who the autocrat
Sure.
is? And he's like, well, we can vote on it. Is that democracy? Like, do you pick one person
right.
and then we're done with voting forever? Like, how does this work? Trying to figure out if there's a logic behind any of this.
Well,
And of
look
course
at
there is
England.
not.
It's a familial thing, and nothing's gone wrong in England yet.
At one point, this dude references, I'm going to play a second clip for you.
Oh.
He references a philosopher, and Mehdi happens to know who this philosopher is. Here's this clip.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
How do we get to an autocracy?
I think, quite frankly, that if we are able to enact local
Who
leaders...
is the we,
or-
by the way?
I think, quite frankly, these far-right conservatives sitting right around
White
me.
people?
Yeah,
No brown
absolutely.
people. So
Well,
some
actually,
of you guys,
I have quite...
some of the people
I
in
have
this room
quite-
don't make the cut
No,
from what I can
actually,
see visually.
Because there were some people in the circle who are clearly not white. But again, Mehdi's basically getting this guy to hang himself by just giving him his own
really
rope.
is.
Because the more you let this guy talk, he's like, yeah, I'm an autocrat. Yeah, I want white people to lead.
Can I tell you a little anecdote, or are we like right
Go
in the
for
thick
it.
of
Go
things?
for it.
So recently there was a episode of 99% Invisible about basically the history of lifeboats, which sounds boring, but gang, it's so interesting. And it kind of starts with the premise of every retelling of Titanic. Somebody somewhere says, I heard there aren't enough lifeboats for every person on board. And that's supposed to be like a sense of its own doom, yada, yada, yada. And they kind of went into the practicalities of lifeboats, of like, imagine you're on a sinking boat and you have to wrangle all these human beings, women, children, people who don't know what they're doing onto these boats, get them on the boats, and then get that boat lowered safely into the water while a boat is sinking. And if you just think about the actual practicalities on the ground, it sounds fucking insane. Because if if the boat is listing to one side or the other, right or left, that entire row of lifeboats becomes useless because you can't lower them over the hull if the thing is. So it's one of those things that they're like, oh, we'll make these great unsinkable lifeboats and they'll be stationed on shore. And then if we see a shipwreck, we'll send them out there and that will help save people. And then they realized getting people into a wooden lifeboat from the ocean is fucking impossible. If anyone's ever tried to get somebody out of the water, it's so hard. Now imagine like a 5-foot high side of a boat. And then you get into the boat if you're in the middle of the ocean, and fucking then what? Then you're just drifting around and it's miserable. So it really kind of sparked in me this sense of something that makes sense on the surface and feels obvious on the surface, right? You have lifeboats in case the big boat sinks. But as soon as you like get in on the ground, you realize it's fucking it's like fucking Donald Trump when he was like, I can fix Medicaid. And then he says, you guys would not believe how difficult healthcare is. Like, it's very easy to look at something and be like, well, the solution is obvious. We need an autocrat. Or
Yeah.
but
when you
like,
think through the process, this guy has not gone through all of those steps of thinking about any of this
And it's truly
stuff.
made me think differently about a lot of things of like, oh, in theory, if we just give teacher's this, then that. And then you realize, oh, life is a little more complicated than that, and maybe we should meet people where they are.
One thing that's frustrating about this particular administration, besides everything, is that they haven't thought through any of the following steps. Oh, we'll kick people off of Medicaid. We will save a lot of money. Okay, what's going to happen to all those people? It's going to raise costs for everything. Sorry, we haven't thought through any of the consequences of our actions.
Which is kind of the Republicans in a nutshell, eh?
Pretty much. Yeah,
like
and they're firing all the people
for long-term destruction.
And we do have people in the government whose job it is to think through all of these things, and they're the ones getting fired. Anyway, so this continues for a while. And by the way, the people in the circle have not voted this guy out yet. They're letting him.
Are their flags up at all?
Some flags are up, but not enough to kick him out. They're red flags for obvious reasons. Okay, one more clip I want to play of Connor. Here is the last one I want to play for you.
Wow. And if that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills, because that's the whole thing.
How do you know? Autocrats tend to kill everyone, even their own supporters.
Schmidt makes this point very well in his work. It's the friend-enemy distinction, right?
Carl
liberals,
Schmitt, the Nazi theoretician.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care.
Are you a fan of the Nazis?
I frankly don't care being called a Nazi at all.
I didn't say that. I didn't actually say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
Well, they persecuted the church a little bit. I'm not a fan of that. But
what about the persecution of the Jews?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't support anyone's human dignity being assaulted. I'm a Catholic.
But you don't condemn Nazi persecution of the Jews?
I think that there was a little bit of persecution.
We may have to rename the show because you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you can say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm in love with this guy.
Oh, Mehdi's fantastic.
Can I see what he looks like? I'm just really curious.
I don't have his picture up right now, but yeah, Mehdi's good. He
Outstanding
brings
voice.
the receipts. He knows how to respond. He literally wrote a book about how to debate. Like, this is his forte.
Yeah, he's very
He's
good.
the guy you want doing this sort of thing. And basically, again, by just asking basic questions, you like, answer this for me, whatever. This guy just admitted he's a fascist. He's an autocrat. He's not a fan of the Nazis. He's openly fascist. He's racist. This goes on for a while. And this guy spoke for he took up a good chunk,
God
5
damn it,
minutes
he's
of
handsome
time.
too. How dare he?
Brown people, man.
Oh,
So,
boy.
this guy goes on for a while. Eventually, he gets kicked out of the circle. But here's the update, which I was totally amused by.
Wait, so Connor eventually gets ejected from the circle?
He eventually gets ejected. And it's not like the people he's replaced with are any different or any better. The whole thing, by the way, there's a couple different debates that have happened since this episode aired. It was at one point like the #1 trending video on YouTube. It's been viewed, I think, about 5 million times in the last few days, which is a lot for an hour, 40-minute debate style sort of thing.
Yeah.
One of the criticisms I've heard is, why is this YouTube channel platforming basically 20 Nazis?
Yeah.
Which is fair, but also, I don't know, you're going to see this stuff whether you like it or not, and these people are there. I would rather have them on this format, on a place where the moderator, or at least like the main character is Mehdi, instead of letting them do it on Rumble or their right-wing, whatever websites they have. Like, these people are out there. They're influential. They run the Republican Party at this point. It's better to show people, this is what mainstream Republicans are like now. Like, too bad. I don't get the let's just ignore them and pretend like they don't exist.
Well, I think the problem is that 8 years ago, deplatforming Donald Trump was something that was helpful and would have been helpful earlier. I think the horse is out of the barn, so to speak. I don't think we are at a place anymore that, like, well, you can't give Nazis a platform because they're going to make their own platform.
Right. And they're influential. I would rather have them challenged on this stuff.
Sunlight's the best disinfectant. Let's hear what they have to. And this is.
So if you're going to have a conversation with these people, don't do what Gavin Newsom did, where he invites right-wing ideologues on his podcast and then doesn't challenge them. And in fact, agrees with them on a bunch of stuff, trying to butter them up, saying, see, we could find common ground. That's the wrong way to do it. By the way, Jon Stewart had the publisher of the LA Times on his show when he was hosting this week. That guy is a far-right MAGA cultist who has, like, decimated his own paper.
Good.
Jon Stewart asked him about none of that stuff.
John!
I don't think he knew who he was interviewing. That stuff, very frustrating.
Yeah.
This thing where Mehdi's entire goal is, I know you guys are crazy. I don't know anything about you, but you're going to tell me when we're talking, and then I'm going to call you out on it, and I know what I'm talking about because that's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
That, to me, is very beneficial for people watching this saying, like, well, that guy doesn't represent me. Connor doesn't represent me.
Right.
Oh, what about the next dude? Oh, that person's also insane. And some of them are not. Some of them openly denounce what some of their colleagues have said, but they're not any better on a lot of the other issues. So I don't get the criticism that we shouldn't have these conversations or we shouldn't platform them. If you're going to do it, this is a way to do it. And I think that's useful to some capacity, at least when it's someone like him who knows what he's doing.
And I listen, I'm not a professional debater, but I've gotten in a lot of fights with white dudes at bars. And what Mehdi is doing brilliantly, which is what I do worse, is I want the person to say the quiet part out loud.
Which is something he said repeatedly. Like, I'm glad you're all openly admitting this stuff.
Yeah, because quickly the story I told of this dude who is like, trucks rule. And I was like, trucks kill people and are terrible and they're big and whatever. Which, by the way, apparently that was because of a chicken tariff in the 1960s.
I have no clue what you're talking about anymore.
Reagan, LBJ passed some sort of chicken tax that had to do with taxing, and that's why we have gigantic trucks. It's really strange. But this dude... I said to this guy, last year, my mother-in-law's neighborhood, a kid was hit and killed by one of those giant trucks because you get dragged under. You don't flip over because they're so tall. And the man looked at me dead in my eyes and said, kids die for a lot of reasons. And that is why I do it. Because I want that man to know deep, like, you can tap dance around in your brain all you want, but he just said to me, it's okay if kids die because I want my big truck. And maybe that doesn't affect him at all, but now he knows. Now he can't be in denial of himself. Anyway, I really, really, really respect what Mehdi does because it's hard. It's hard when you get in the thick of it. He's very clear-thoughted. Nope.
Very good. Yes, that's the word.
Clear. He's a clear thinker. He's a linear thinker.
So here's where I want to go with this. This is the follow-up to all of this. This aired on Sunday. It's gone viral for obvious reasons. This guy is kind of the poster boy of, oh, this is one of their crazy-ass far-right Republicans. But even though he wouldn't call himself a Republican, and he's so much worse than a far-right anything.
Do you think he is representative of most right-wing people?
No. And this is the thing. No, he's not. But people like him do have huge audiences and do have influence. Just this week, J.D. Vance had lunch or something with one of these far-right podcasters. And if they haven't said I'm an autocrat fascist dude, they have said horrible things about brown people, about immigrants, about all this. Like, what's the difference at that point?
Yeah.
These people have a voice and a seat at the table with this administration. So there is a famous meme. It goes back to I think 2018, but it's a fake conversation between a conservative and the person writing it. Conservative, I have been censored for my conservative views. Holy shit, you were censored for wanting lower taxes? LOL, no, not those views. So deregulation? Haha, no, not those views either.
That's bad too.
Which views exactly? Oh, you know the ones.
Wink.
That's the meme. Well, guess what happened to Connor? Connor got fired.
Yeah, he did.
And this is what he says on a website.
Wait, what did he do?
Good question. I don't have an answer to that, but here's a little blurb. My name is Connor, and I was recently shown in the latest Jubilee episode. As a result, unfortunately, I was subsequently released from my job.
Released.
I don't know what his job was.
I
don't
know all of
it's
the
probably one of those
details.
whatever. I was a cashier at a grocery store.
Yeah, he works at Target.
Yeah, which is fine as a job, but he's like, I was let go. Why? Probably because he's like, yay, Nazis, whatever. And then the reason he's writing this is because he's doing a fundraiser for himself, Rittenhousing this whole thing. Like, I'm raising money as an emergency fund and for other expenses while I look for a new job. Unfortunately, voicing fully legal, traditional right-wing political views results in real consequences. This is cancel culture and political discrimination on full display.
Ooh, I bet what is happening is because of what he said, he's not eligible for unemployment benefits. And that's why he's doing this, because if you get laid off or, fired for whatever, but if you get
You were fired because brown people don't feel safe around you because you want them dead.
Yeah, I think there's extenuating circumstances.
So literally the title of this fundraiser is Fired for My Political Beliefs, which just feeds into that meme so perfectly.
So
like,
good.
oh, which beliefs of yours?
Which is it?
Which conservative beliefs?
It kind of reminds me of the guy who's a right-wing fascist and is like an IT
You're
dude.
going to have to narrow it down.
In Oklahoma City?
Yeah, that's
He's an IT
Dylan
dude.
Oz. He's the new IFB, Independent Fundamentalist Baptist guy who spends his time giving sermons twice a week where he's like, yeah, the government should execute people I don't like because they're sinners, but he works in IT for the Oklahoma City government. And the thing is they literally have asked, like reporters have asked city officials, like, why haven't you fired this guy? And they're like, well, he does his job while he's on the clock. And there's no reason, we have no evidence, basically, of him saying or treating anybody in any way that is disrespectful or anything. Like, he comes to the job, does his job, and leaves. And what he does outside his job, if it's not criminal, it's not our business. That's kind of their position on it. This guy, I don't know why he was fired. I don't know the circumstances. He won't tell anyone what he did. But he is doing this fundraiser on Give, Send, Go, which is like the Christian GoFundMe that doesn't censor anybody for anything.
Isn't the Christian GoFundMe just praying?
It should be. He's not asking for prayers, though. He wants your cash. As of right now, he's raised over $35,000 because there's a lot of people who support Nazi sympathizers.
Good. And what's our Patreon happening here?
Not that.
And how are we, just remind me, are we Nazis?
We are not.
Okay, so if you're looking to send your money to somebody, not the Nazis, send it to us, patreon.com/friendlyatheist
There you
podcast.
go.
Jesus Christ, this world is so scary.
That page, by the way, does have a section where you could file a prayer request, and it says on the website,
Finally.
click the pray button to let the campaign owner know you are praying for them.
That's just like 1 like equals 1 prayer, 1 heart equals 1 angel or whatever.
My favorite thing about the Give, Send, Go platform is there's a little counter, a meter next to how much has been raised, and it says, like 1,100 people have given to the campaign. 144 people have shared the page with somebody else, and 943 people have prayed. It's like, okay, but no one, even they all seem to know, like, okay, that one doesn't count for anything.
That's nothing.
Anyway, so
that's hysterical.
over 1,100 people are supporting this Nazi who was fired for being a Nazi racist, etc.
I'm going to have to sit with the fact that this guy got fired and IT Joe didn't. And like, what's the difference?
Still has his job.
Well, and it's obviously like at the discretion of the employer, but I
Right,
just think
and I
it's
don't know what this dude did.
an interesting situation.
Yeah. I would say you should all watch that hour 40-minute debate because I think Mehdi does a nice job of just knocking down everything thrown his way. They also, on these Jubilee videos, have a little side, like a side bubble, like pop-up video that comes up every time someone says something that, in this case, Mehdi, because he was the one making arguments and claims and numbers, and they had a quick fact check of everything.
Oh, I love that.
And every single time, it's like, yeah, what he's saying is accurate. He knows the quote, he knows the number he's citing, and you could see that in real time.
That's kind of cool.
Like I said, it was a good video. I'm not knocking the platform. I don't think the whole platform should be banned or criticized because I've seen a lot of that online. Why are you giving these 20 Nazis a big platform to spread their views?
Because it's not going unanswered.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, I'm going to move on to a different story here, which involves our friend Ryan Walters of Oklahoma.
Oh,
There you go.
Oklahoma,
So
where the
last time we
winds
checked in
blow.
with Ryan Walters, he had wanted to adopt these new social studies standards in the state that were right-wing propaganda.
We're like, Africans swam over here to work for us. They wanted to be slaves so bad.
Essentially something like that. And he released those standards in December so the public could see, because legally he has to do that, and people weighed in. And the state's Board of Education they approved of those standards in February. Ryan Walters did not tell them, oh, the version I'm giving you to approve is different than the one everyone saw,
Which,
and
you know,
it's way worse.
Above board when they literally lie about what they're pushing through.
And then the Republican legislature could have blocked those standards by saying we want more time to look at it.
why
They
would they?
chose not to even look at the problem. And since then, there have been 2 different lawsuits to shut down these standards from going into effect next month when school goes back in session. One of them was struck down by district court, but they're appealing to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. The other lawsuit is directly to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. We have not seen, that's the one from church-state separation groups. There's no resolution in this. So right now, the standards are Ryan Walters' preferred method, and we're waiting for a court to step in. But in the meantime, this is what it is right now. And these standards specifically, what were the big controversies surrounding these standards? Ryan Walters' version of it specifically wanted teachers, not wanted to, they would have to tell kids that the 2020 election had major, quote, discrepancies. It did not. That there were security risks with mail-in ballots and, quote, sudden batch dumps. There were not. And that COVID originated in a Chinese lab.
Sudden batch dumps are.
I mean, these would be high school students for this particular batch, but like COVID...
I'm 16 and I'm learning about U.S. history. What's a batch dump?
That's what you would have to explain as a teacher. And that COVID originated in a Chinese lab.
That's helpful.
There's no conclusive proof of any of that.
And
Not
also,
only that...
Why is that? Why?
Because this is what Ryan Walters says. What do kids need to know about 2020 elections?
Do they think China,
If there's one thing we know about America, it's that we have a lot of very gullible, dumb people.
I remember right when COVID happened and this dude in the dog park was like, I just want to find out where it came from. And I was like, I don't understand how that's helpful right now. Why? The blame game is...
They really want to blame China for manufacturing this thing instead of just admitting, hey, viruses happen.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do to prepare for them is put more investment into developing vaccines, into studying these things so we know how they can mutate. But it's a lot easier for people to think, yeah, China was out to get us.
Do you think that these people also think that the Spanish flu was manufactured? Because
you're doing that thing again where you're like, have they thought through the logic of their stupid conspiracies? They have not.
That's really frustrating.
Ryan Walters' standards also said students would not be required, like the old standards said, to learn about George Floyd's death or Black Lives Matter. He also was super into shoving the Bible into the standards. They would treat it as a foundational document, turning religious mythology into historical facts. For example, second graders would have to, this is one of the standards for second graders in social studies class, identify stories from Christianity that influenced the American colonists, founders, and culture, including the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. For example, the Golden Rule and the Sermon on the Mount. And as we've said, the Golden Rule is not a Jesus original.
No, that's Old Testament, isn't it?
And again, when you're saying that Christianity influenced the colonists and founders and culture, no, it didn't. Not in the way David Barton says, not in the way Christian nationalists pretend that it was like, oh yeah, they were looking at the Bible when they wrote the Constitution, like all that's a lie. But this is the sort of thing he wanted to do.
I love that they're like, the Second Amendment says that, a thing about bear arms, and that's black and white. You can't debate it. But everything else in the Constitution is up for debate.
Everything, yes.
Truly, do you think that the Founding Fathers were doing, a hidden word search with biblical terms that you were, do you think it's like the Declaration of Independence having a map on its back that you just have to read it right and put on your special spy glasses?
Yes, and in 8th grade, Ryan Walters wants teachers to tell those students, evaluate the role of Judeo-Christian ideals in supporting colonial demands for independence, as exemplified by the Bible being a frequently cited authority by America's founders. It wasn't. How do you teach that? How do you teach that when the premise is faulty to begin with? Anyway, we've gone over all the problems in the past with these standards, the Ryan Walters version of it. But one of the things, besides pointing out all the flaws and problems and lies in the standards, Democrats said it's going to be really hard to find textbook publishers willing to rewrite their own materials
I forgot about
to
this
fit
part.
these standards. One, because Oklahoma is a relatively smaller state when it comes to public education, so it's not worth the cost, the time and money to create unique books for them. Also, if you're a publisher who wants to sell books across the country and you're like, we wrote a history textbook for U.S. history, we want your state to buy our book, if they know, oh, this is the company that created a book full of lies for Oklahoma, maybe we shouldn't trust them with their other material too. So it might damage their reputation to knowingly spread these lies to kids. These are things Democrats brought up when they were like, I don't know that we're going to find even books that will cater to our standards.
That's the other question of like, I'm sure Ryan Walters wears many hats, but I don't think he's a textbook writer.
No. Now, he's already done deals with like PragerU will provide materials for classrooms in our state.
Print the 10,000 textbooks or whatever you need?
No, but they'll provide supplementary propaganda videos that people can use in their classrooms.
So wait, they're going to get like a regular history book and then a little pamphlet to shove in the middle and like...
Which is written by the PragerU people, which are right-wing liars.
And like the first day of class, they're like, okay, here's your black marker. We're going to black out the following 25 pages.
Essentially. And this is the question, like, why? I mean, first of all, who's going to write a textbook for Oklahoma students promoting conservative lies when it might jeopardize your standing and your sales in other states that actually value education? Well, here's where we're at right now. There is a state textbook committee. There's 13 people on it. 12 are appointed by the governor, who's a Republican, but not a fan of Ryan Walters.
Not a fan of
and
Trump,
the last person is like a Ryan Walters ally. But that's only one of 13. They're in the process of sifting through all the different textbooks to say, we'll give a stamp of approval to this one, etc. And the thing is, the legislature has $33 million available for public school districts who want to buy something off of their list. That's why they're approving these materials. So if a school district says, oh, you said yes to this book, we want to buy X number of copies of those books, and we're going to use state funds to do it. It's good for the district if they don't have to dip into their own funds to do that. But they're not forced to. If they want to get other textbooks, they're allowed to do that, like locally run school districts. But they got to find their own money if they want to do that. So that's the dilemma for these school districts. What do you do? But right now, the State Textbook Committee is going through the recommendations.
Upside to this.
No.
That feels important to note that, like, best case scenario is everybody's scrambling to put together this garbage thing and kids miss out.
Yeah, I mean, if they said we're giving a green light to this publisher and it's a legit publisher, there's no dilemma here. Like the schools can get those books that are legit because they've been vetted by the textbook committee and the publisher has a good reputation. And you know that, okay, this is a good baseline. And then the teachers and the school districts can decide what other stuff they want to add to their lessons, all that. So what's amazing, and this is what we just learned this week, the publishers who are now taking part in the process where they're like, here's our textbook, we hope you greenlight it, they have not caved to Walters' demands.
Interesting.
And this is from Oklahoma Watch's Jennifer Palmer, who's done a really good job of covering all of this Ryan Walters stuff. For example, Hutton Mifflin Harcourt, one of the largest textbook publishers in the country, they didn't even submit material to Oklahoma's textbook committee this time around.
Really?
This is like, oh, do you want your books in our state? Send us your book so we can approve it. They were like, we're not sending you anything.
Wow.
They've basically written off Oklahoma as a lost cause from what I'm seeing.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Two smaller publishers also didn't send any material because they knew their books probably would have been rejected, maybe because they include facts, and they just didn't want to go on the record of having to say Oklahoma rejected our books because they don't have a track record of selling to a million other states.
Well, and I'm sure the submission is not free.
It's free. It's free. You could submit it, but if the response is Oklahoma's textbook people rejected your textbook,
that's not a good headline.
A small movie studio wanting to get a review of their movie. If they know the movie is going to get rejected and panned,
they're not going to send
Marvel
it to...
can deal with it.
Yeah.
So they can send it to everybody, like, give us a good review. Oh, some of you didn't like it? Who cares? But if you're a small distributor, it's like, and I think you're going to not like my movie, I'm better off just not giving anyone a review in advance.
Truly.
And whatever. So they actually have, I think last time around when they were doing the standards like 6 years ago, they got like 18 options for history textbooks.
Oh, God.
This year it's down to 11. Which is a significant drop.
Yeah. It's
Among
not
the
nothing,
companies that did provide books, this is according to Oklahoma
Is one
Watch.
called like Liberty Blood Publishing or something like that?
No, it seems like the ones who did submit books are doing the bare minimum to adhere to some of Walter's standards, but they're not spreading his lies. Here's an example.
Interesting.
This is from Oklahoma Watch. Regarding the 2020 election, because that was a controversial standard thing. An advanced placement textbook titled By the People, A History of the United States, published by Pearson, which is a big company, makes no mention of sudden batch dumps or mail-in ballot concerns. It states, quote, the Trump campaign submitted a total of 63 lawsuits claiming voter fraud, but none of them, including several that reached the Supreme Court, resulted in a finding for the campaign. Which is accurate. Like they mentioned...
it's one sentence that covers all the facts.
Yeah, they mentioned the fact that the Trump campaign tried to get it overturned, which they had to do, but they didn't give any leeway to those
That's what
lies.
we call economy of storytelling, Hammett. You don't need extraneous details like lies people made up.
There's another textbook that has their like in-print book, but also the digital edition. The in-print version says, here's how they deal with election fraud in 2020. Supporters of Donald Trump supporters of that claim that the election was stolen believe that mail-in balloting was not secure and alleged that ballot counting was halted in key battleground states accompanied by sudden batch dumps of unfavorable votes, with an unforeseen record number of voters in the election determining the final vote count was challenging. Investigations by numerous state and federal authorities determined there was no credible evidence to support such a claim.
Yeah, that sounds like how a textbook would describe what happened.
The online version that they are selling to Oklahoma says the following. Trump claimed the 2020 election had been stolen through widespread fraud, even though numerous state and federal authorities determined there was no credible evidence to support such a claim. Basically, they're saying, okay, we'll take that section of the standards you want us to cover. We will incorporate that into the version of the book that's all we already publish.
Wait, could you hit me with that again?
The bottom line is that instead of doing, here's the paragraph they use in all of their textbooks across the country for the 2020 election. For the Oklahoma online version, which is easier to change, they don't have to reprint all the books. They just made it specific to what Ryan Walters wanted them to cover, but they're not ceding ground to the lies.
And it still ended with, but there's no evidence to support these claims.
Yep.
Which I guess he didn't specify.
I mean,
that you can't.
He didn't. The standards say you got to cover this information, but they're not saying you got to say this is true, this is false. That's not what standards do.
Okay.
There's one more. McGraw-Hill, another big textbook publisher. They basically cover the same material. And then at the end of that paragraph, they say these stories were anecdotes, personal stories, because they got to define anecdotes. These stories were anecdotes, personal stories, and they did not prove there were widespread problems. And the McGraw-Hill textbook actually says COVID originated in Wuhan, but it doesn't say anything about a Chinese lab, just that we do know where it came from. And that's it. They don't get into anything beyond that because, again, their job is to like give you the bare minimum so you understand what happened. Now, what about the Bible? According to Oklahoma Watch, only one publisher includes it in their history textbooks.
Really?
And it's in a curriculum for elementary students. There's a mention, because that's where he wants it mentioned.
Okay.
So they have to do it if they want these passed. There was a mention of David and Goliath, but even that retelling of the story was preceded by the line, the Hebrews told stories. And then they overview the David and Goliath underdog story. And it's like the 10 Commandments, which Ryan Walters also says kids need to learn about.
Sure.
They say, yeah, there's a thing called the 10 Commandments, which says there are some rules people should follow.
Yeah.
That's it. That's kind of all they say about the 10 Commandments. They don't say anything like, yeah, they form the basis for our current laws, which is the Christian Nationalist
version. It's an
version.
insane assertion to make.
So basically, the companies that publish textbooks and are going through this process are not playing along with him. At best, some of them, the only thing that Oklahoma Watch covered is that at best, some of these companies give educators the option of you're allowed to go into the online version of the textbook and add material if you want to.
But you don't have to.
But you don't have to. But like that's kind of the only option. If you want to add in stuff, you have that option, I guess.
Oh my God.
So here's where we're at right now.
Okay.
The state textbook committee is eventually going to give a green light to some of these books or not. Who knows? I should say, while adhering to the state standards is important, the textbooks do not have to align perfectly for the committee to approve them. So the committee could say, yeah, they don't go into everything in the state standards.
But that's okay.
But that's okay. We still think this is a good textbook, and we'll give you the money if your district wants to purchase these.
Okay. And has Ryan Walters responded to
He
this?
hasn't said anything about this yet. This is relatively new information.
I mean, this feels like another incident, or an instance rather, of this sort of like, it makes sense on paper, and then the second you think about the steps that go from here to there are insane.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want every textbook to change and every teacher to change? Like, what are you trying to do here? Well, I
Right.
know what he's trying to do.
The
here.
one textbook committee member who is an ally of Ryan Walters, her name is Kendra Wesson. She used to be on the State Board of Education, but Governor Kevin Stitt reappointed like 3 new members of that Board of Education. She was one of the ones kicked off.
Uh-oh.
Ryan Walters put her on this textbook committee, and last month she insisted we're not going to have any problem finding textbooks that meet Ryan Walters' new revised standards. She said, quote,
She lied.
"We're not going to have a problem there at all." Well, now we've seen the textbooks, and it's like, oh, it seems like no one's going along with his lies.
But I mean, she's not wrong. They're not going to have a problem finding textbooks that go along with his bullshit, but it's just not as deep as he thought. Like, it's not, he was imagining clearly this whole new right-wing textbook that,
Yes.
that really explained why white people
and
built this
because
country.
that doesn't exist, they're not going to just create one from scratch under the possibility that maybe.
But that seems to be what Ryan Walters' expectation was?
Totally.
Okay, so this is a man who just simply does not understand the world in which he works.
No, he knows very little about education despite being a former teacher.
What did he teach?
Probably
math
over a
or something
decade ago.
stupid?
Oh,
No.
no, he taught government.
He
He taught government, and according to students who had him,
Yeah.
he was really good at it. And you would not know where he stood politically based on the conversations they were having in the classroom. And articles about Ryan Walters' like villain origin story are very much these students saying, the guy I had as a teacher
Yeah.
or a tennis coach who I loved
Tennis coach.
is
Of
not the
fucking
guy
course.
is not the guy who I see today. I don't know what happened to radicalize this guy. That's bottom line what everyone who knew him
That's pretty
as a teacher
interesting.
has said. But so that's where we're
Does
at
he
right
respond
now.
to any of that kind
No,
of thing?
he's just like, I never
I want to
changed.
know
I just
everything about this person.
know.
He seems out of his gob.
Yeah. So here's the question now. What textbooks are they going to approve? Because it looks like the only choices they have are going with traditional publishers who are not going with his
And you
lies.
said like the McGraw-Hill,
Yeah.
they submitted stuff that just wasn't exactly what he wanted.
They made
Okay.
minor modifications to cover some of the stuff he wanted, but they really didn't change. They're not adding more Bible to their already produced textbooks.
I feel like any person who has ever worked in like art design, like with a client, in art design or marketing or something like that, has dealt with this so many times of like the expectations versus what they can accomplish that they're like, yes, I know you want all these things and it's going to be close. But like any person who's ever worked on anything and it's like, oh, actually it's going to print today. Actually, I want to change the artwork on the cover. True story happened to me. I got fired over it.
There you go. And like, I think a lot of these textbook publishers probably know, listen, there's a good chance the courts are going to step in and just negate the new standards, which means they would have to revert back to the old standards, which are normal. And so if that's the case, well, guess what? Their books are still going to be good.
Are the educational requirements and the textbooks, are those hand in hand, or are they two separate things that like
The educational standards for social studies, this is what the state says kids should learn in history classes from K
and
through
at this
12.
point, state is Ryan Walters?
Yes.
Okay.
And the textbook publishers are like, look, we actually work with history experts and we made the, 9th grade U.S. history textbook, and this is what's in it, and this is what we got for you. You can approve it or don't approve it, but this is what we got. And maybe they make some adjustments depending on the state or whatever, but again, Oklahoma's not a big fit. It's not Texas. It's not like catering to millions and millions of students like Texas is. So they're like, no, Oklahoma, we're not making a new Oklahoma version for you.
Right.
This is our textbook.
Right.
And again, the textbook committee, they have to give something to these schools. I mean, they don't have to, but
No, they don't
they
have
have to
to.
say, like, these are all options you could choose from.
Right.
But again, we can't force you to use them. Like, it's up to you, but we'll give you money if you use what we say. And I'm happy to see the textbook publishers are not spreading right-wing lies.
And because it's the right thing to do economically speaking.
Both
like
economically and ethically.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not ruining our reputation
Yeah.
for you, Ryan Walters. So.
God, Ryan Walters is like whoever edits movies down for airplanes. That's
Taking
his
out
role.
all the stuff that
All
he
the good
doesn't
stuff.
like. Yeah. Let me jump to a different story. which involves Louisiana. Okay, here's the story. This also involves a guy getting fired for his religious views. There's a lot of stories like that.
Why are you smiling when you say he got fired for his religious views?
Because you know exactly where I'm going with this. Okay, here the guy's name is Luke Ash, and he is
that's a dope name.
He's like an IT technician who worked at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library in Louisiana.
Cool.
I think he was just hired a couple months ago, and then a couple weeks ago he was fired. And here's the way he explains the story. He was having a conversation with a coworker about a different new employee that was just hired. And along the way, they were talking about like, oh, we just hired Jessica or something. And he's talking to a coworker about this. At some point, Luke Ash uses the wrong pronouns to refer to that new hire.
Okay.
And the coworker corrects him. And what he says is, I refuse to use those preferred pronouns.
No, Luke.
And then he was reprimanded by his boss the next day. He said, well, I'm not going to change what I'm saying. And then he was subsequently fired. Okay, that's what happened.
What's his GoFundMe address?
Yeah. Well, there's an easy way to describe what happened to this guy. He was disrespect. Yes, he was a dick to one of his coworkers, not even someone he talked to directly, just someone who he knew about.
Yeah, he's just talking shit for no reason.
Then he got fired after doubling down on the fact that I'm not going to stop treating them like shit. He was warned about the consequences, said, I don't care about the rules I don't care about the code of conduct in this place that I work at and that writes my checks. And then he lost his job. As he deserved.
Yeah.
So how are Christians spinning this? Immediately, this guy,
the thing is,
all
this is
the
a
headlines.
new story. We've seen teachers get this exact story of teachers getting fired.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see how it works out in a library versus a school.
This guy, they're all spinning this like he's a Christian baker or Christian florist, that he was punished because of his sincerely held religious views. This is what Luke Ash said. I believe that there are religious convictions and there are other kinds of convictions. And when those things are in contradiction with each other, there has to be given preference for one or the other. And he's saying this library violated my religious views and you can't do that anymore.
He was right about the premise, just his conclusion was wrong.
Yeah. He could at the very least just admit his religious convictions require him to treat certain people like shit. He's not doing that. He's just saying they fired me because I'm Christian.
Yeah.
And this goes back to that meme of, oh, did they fire you because you believe in Jesus? It's like, no. Oh, did they fire you because you believe in helping the poor? No. What do they fire you for? It's always the same answer. He actually has 2 jobs in addition to this library gig, which I need to correct myself. He has had for 6 months. 6 months. He's also the pastor of a place called Stevendale Baptist Church, which he's only held since March. I think he moved there recently. And
so the church isn't new. He's a new member?
He's a new pastor of this church that's been around for a while.
Okay.
But as soon as he got fired, he knew exactly which of his conservative buddies he should run to, kind of like the football coach from Bremerton who's like, what? They're mad at me for praying and making this all about me? I know which right-wing legal groups are going to make a big story out of this.
Yep.
And it worked. This has become a cause celeb for conservatives. Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill chimed in. She said, Louisiana prohibits discrimination based on religion in the workplace, which is a ridiculous thing to say because he wasn't fired for being a Christian. He was fired for his actions because he was being a dick to his colleagues.
I mean, I know they had the 10 Commandments up everywhere in Louisiana. Is being a dick on
that is one of the commandments. I'm pretty
but
sure
he
it's
didn't
number
feel
8.
like that's his. No, got it.
Governor Jeff Landry chimed in. He said Louisianans should never lose their job because they refuse to lie.
Either nobody told me the details of this or I don't care.
Right. Other right-wing trolls are saying this violates some religious freedom law. I don't know which one. The American Spectator. The American Spectator, a right-wing publication, says this isn't about his lack of basic decency at all. Here's what they say, quote, basic decency would be for the trans individual to respect Luke Ash's recognition that she is a woman and not a man. So really, this is the trans person's fault.
This is so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. We're blaming the trans person who want to be clear, was not part of this conversation that he had.
Nope.
And was not demanding anything, just gave their pronouns. And this guy was like, go fuck yourself,
the
double
coworker was
birds.
like, oh, the person that just got hired, they go by he. And so don't call them she.
Yeah.
And Luke Ash is like, I will say whatever I want.
How fucking dare you?
Tony Perkins, the Confederate
I reserve
leader.
the right to call him at fart face, and I shall only call him fart face. Go ahead, fart
now
face.
give me my check.
Yeah.
Right. Hate preacher Tony Perkins, who is a hate group leader, runs the Family Research Council.
Which, by the way, that was the thing I was thinking of that became a church, even though it's obviously not a church.
I believe Family Research Council is one of the groups that has done that.
Yeah, somebody hit me
Here's
up on
what
Discord.
he said. It is somewhat ironic that the library has a policy not to fine patrons who do not return books on time or return them at all, yet they fire employees who refuse to engage in forced speech and play along with the lie.
Well, those are all words. But that is truly one of the wildest things I have ever heard.
They extend grace to people who don't return books on time, but they won't.
Why can't we extend grace to bigots?
Right. That literally is his argument. Listen to this.
This is just like that thing with like the Second Amendment, or like it says thou shalt not kill. If somebody gets killed in the school, they'll go to jail. So the 10 Commandments can be on the wall. Like
something like that.
What are you guys talking
Technically,
about?
you had a subject and a verb. However, right. He goes on to say,
good sentence structure.
This is also Tony Perkins. They think it's a sin to ban books, but they in effect ban them by not buying them or making them hard to find. Because this library has said we're not banning books. If you can pretend a book doesn't exist, that's even more effective. I'm sorry, that's not Tony Perkins, that's Luke Ash. He's saying this library is bad because they selectively don't purchase like bigot books or something, and they think they're supportive of free speech. This guy is all over the place. He hates the library. He hates public libraries, but he works at one. He doesn't want to follow their rules, but he doesn't think they can fire him over it.
This is like people who become like high-ranking government officials and are like, I fucking hate government. It's like, wait, nobody invited you then.
Right, you wanted this job. And part of me, this is purely conspiracy theorizing on my end.
Love this.
I kind of wonder, why did this guy get a job at this library 6 months ago? Did he do it in the hopes that they would eventually do like maybe he thought he's going to raise
fucking wild
maybe
theory.
He thought I'm going to raise a stink about banned books and like they should purchase
and then this trans person
books.
turned up
and
and
this trans person turned up and he's like, all right, now I can take this library down with me.
So in this,
because why else would he want a job at a public library when he could get a random job making whatever he makes at I'm sure a bunch of different places?
Ron Swanson fucking worked at Pawnee Parks and Rec Department.
There
He
you
was
go.
a libertarian, so I don't know. People make a lot of weird choices.
Did he apply to work there so he could sue this library over its policies? I mean,
okay.
He hasn't sued yet.
If you are going to
again, me being a conspiracy theorist.
What were his jobs prior to this?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think
so somebody else
I think he moved to this
research.
area. But again, he got the job at the library first before he took over this church. So
right. Well,
I don't know.
I mean,
But as soon as he was fired, he sat down with Tony Perkins for an
course.
interview, fellow Louisianan, just like Mike Johnson. And within days,
Mike Johnson's from Louisiana?
Yep. And conservative pastors around the area already wrote a letter to the library's board demanding they give Luke Ash his job back and, quote, change all DEI-directed policies that led to his termination. Because respecting your colleagues is a DEI thing.
They really don't like white cishet people, don't they?
No,
like truly,
they love,
anybody
they love that one group. And
anybody who isn't that is just so flagrantly offensive to them. It's kind of insane.
And this has nothing to do with DEI or religion. Like the bottom line is he broke the rules. He defied the code of conduct, the policy that the library staff is running by. And so, yes, he deserved to be fired. He doesn't have a religious discrimination case.
No, well, and I'm just thinking of like, take gender out of it. Like, nobody calls me Jessie in my life. Nobody does. The only people who call me Jessie are terrible bosses I have who don't learn my name. Actually, at a ranch I worked at, my boss's boss thought I was a dude for like 4 months named Jesse. It was really, really helpful for me and my career. But, oh boy, I fucking love.
So,
no, but if you know, I just started somewhere and somebody was talking to Hammett, and they were like, "Oh, I heard Jesse's pretty stupid," and you're like, "Hey, actually, she goes by Jess or Jessica,
but everything else,
but
100%.
everything else, don't worry about it." And he's like, "Go fuck yourself! I only call people named Jessica Jesse. How dare you?"
Right.
Like,
if you can,
you're just
call,
being an asshole.
And if someone got married and they go by a different name now, yeah, you learn it. That's how it works.
That's such a good point.
By the way, if you wanted to be a more sympathetic victim for all this, you would at least say, I want the public library to succeed. I just think the way they punished me is illegal and discriminatory and unfair.
But he doesn't want it to succeed.
He literally emailed the mayor of East Baton Rouge to say you should consider defunding the library system over what's going on there.
Okay.
And again, this goes back to, I think this has
Your
been
weird
his
theory
goal
is
all
starting
along,
to
right?
come together.
By the way, Franklin Graham, that bigot, he's urging right-wing groups to file a lawsuit against the library system. And a top Department of Justice official, not Pam Bondi, but someone who works right under her, Harmeet Dillon, has also shared this story, implying it's a travesty what happened to this man.
Sure.
So I assume a lawsuit is coming. And I don't know whether it comes from a right-wing legal group or the Department of Justice, but they're going to go after this library system because now they got their guy on the inside and he was fired for being an asshole, and it serves their purpose of, we can get rid of a big-ass library in a city in Louisiana.
And that's the goal, I
think
guess.
that's the goal.
Have you ever heard that thing of like, thank God they established libraries before the current regime came in? Because could you imagine?
There's no way you could get a library system built now. You couldn't get public schools built anymore if you started from scratch.
Didn't somebody from the 2025 project die?
Probably.
Okay. I really thought that. I just saw a clip of that.
Doesn't change much, but yes.
But yeah, okay, cool.
All right, one other story here. This is a wild story involving a small town of Monroe, North Carolina. Okay, in November of 2023, they had their mayoral election. Several candidates are up for the job, but two of them, a guy named Robert Burns and Bob Janacek, those were the two main candidates to become mayor.
What state is this?
This is North Carolina. And when the votes came in, this is a town, by the way, I said small town. It's like 35,000 people.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. It's just southwest of, or southeast of Charlotte. So it's like an exurb, looks like.
So each of the two candidates, they got fewer than 1,000 votes. Not a lot of people came out for this off-year mayoral election. But those two candidates, they both got 970 votes apiece. Like, it was tied, and those two had more votes than everybody else, which is not saying much about democracy, but there you go. So they had an option, like they could seek a recount. They could, not a runoff. I think their options are we can recount the votes, but you have to pay for it. Or
rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, they said we could do a coin flip. And if
that was a joke I just made.
And basically the rules.
I was joking.
They have bylaws here that say if both candidates agree to do a coin flip and like you're basically signing away your rights to do a recount, you just say, we'll do a fair coin flip. I will abide by however that goes. And both of these guys said, yeah, you know what? Forget the recount. It's a lot of time and money. Just do the coin flip. Let's be done with this. Okay, so they did that. So at the coin toss...
I was making a joke.
Doesn't matter. So this is, again, November of 2023. At the coin toss, Bob Janacek, one of those tied guys, he called heads. The election official flipped the coin. It came up tails. So Robert Burns was declared the winner of that election. And you know what? This is from the Associated Press article, because coin flip in a town, that's a news story. The two men shook hands and hugged briefly. The board then voted to declare Burns the winner. Yeah, that's how the coin flip works. Fine. Like, this sort of thing does happen every now and then, usually in small towns, local races where you could have a tie, and it's just too much of a hassle to go through like count up by hand. Every vote,
like
one secretary who works somewhere.
Recounting 2,000 votes isn't that onerous.
But they don't have like a staff of 20. They have like one secretary who would have to, whatever.
You just need an Excel sheet.
I think both of these guys are like, whatever, small town race. Let's do it. Just coin flip, done. Okay. So it's now been 2 years, a year and a half since that election. Robert Burns is the mayor of Monroe, has been since then. he has done everything in his power to turn the office into a conduit for Christian nationalism.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's good. Good.
He actually told his supporters, and again, this didn't make any news at the time because it's a normal thing for guys like him to say. Before the coin toss occurred, he said to his supporters, it's all in God's hands. Which, fine. I get why someone would say
How random
that.
chance works.
Now, mayors don't get to pass legislation. So what exactly has he done to Christian nationalize everything?
Yeah, does he have executive orders?
Right. He can do proclamations and stuff like that, but really he doesn't
So all
have
of his laws are going to start with whereas.
Yeah. Well, on his official mayoral YouTube page, he's posted videos promoting Monroe Prayer Night, where he tells the audience Jesus alone is worthy, and that's why we're here today. He also listed City Hall's address and phone number as a National Day of Prayer contact, which he's not allowed to do.
Sure.
He, on his podcast last year, he interviewed the actual sitting Christian nationalist lieutenant governor of Indiana, Micah Beckwith, right before he became lieutenant governor.
Fuck Indiana.
And this is what Beckwith said, without any opposition from Robert Burns. Beckwith said, the atheist, the Muslim, the Jew, the Mormon, the Christian, anyone will be better off if we root our society and Judeo-Christian principles, because liberty is not man's idea, it is God's idea.
That doesn't mean anything.
Beckwith then added, with no pushback from Burns, that the people fighting for church-state separation
Or dum-dums.
were, quote, the LGBTQ community trying to support Hamas.
Hamas?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Honestly, you could have given me a billion guesses of what that
And
last
that
word
one-
would be. I don't think I would have gotten
Yes.
Hamas for days.
Last June, Robert Burns issued a proclamation to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, calling on all citizens to, quote, support life-affirming initiatives.
I'm going to puke on this microphone.
The city council, get this, because he is a Christian nationalist crazy dude. City council is not. Like the other people elected in this community are sane. They voted 5-2 to censure him for issuing that proclamation on official letterhead and everything.
And
his response is, that's a badge of honor. And then the council voted to take away his power to issue future proclamations.
And?
So this past June, since he couldn't issue a proclamation, he basically posted a message on Facebook saying, yay, 3rd anniversary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And then he falsely claimed women have abortions because, quote, abortion mills push women in crisis through the process, even when, in tears, never telling them about post-abortion trauma.
Post-abortion trauma? Oh, which is different from the trauma of being pregnant and giving birth to a child that you don't want, possibly fathered by a person who you don't want to keep in your life and will be tied to you forever and ever.
Correct.
Even if they're dangerous or trying to kill you. Or...
And then earlier this month, Burns urged pastors in Monroe to start endorsing candidates from the pulpit since, guess what? Johnson Amendment is no longer enforced. That post includes his mayoral title. It says, he posted a big picture of a flag over City Hall. And the text of the image he posted says, pastors and churches can get involved. And then it says, Robert Burns, mayor of Monroe, North Carolina. Suggesting this is a message from the city and not anything in his personal capacity. By the way, he also uses city letterhead and his title of mayor to issue personal thoughts on his pet issues. And there's little fine print on that paper that says the content or views expressed in this message are strictly my own and not the city of Monroe. But bigger is the logo of the city of Monroe and his title, Mayor Robert Burns. So earlier this month, a week or two ago.
Tyrants. I am telling you, petty tyrants are going to bring this place down.
The city council voted 5-2 on a no confidence measure against this guy, basically saying we have no confidence this guy can do his job.
Can they recall him?
They don't have that ability.
Really? Even under the circumstances of a coin flip?
Yes, doesn't matter. He won the race by the city's own rules. His personal Twitter feed is nothing but right-wing conspiracy theories and grievances. He has called his critics, quote, narcissistic beta males and snowflake complainers.
I don't think you can be a narcissistic beta male. I think being a narcissist, necessitates that you think you're an alpha male. That would be my thought on things.
When a reporter...
Also, this guy calling people narcissistic is L funny.
Yeah. Speaking of beta males, when a reporter asked him about his online shit posting, he just cowered in silence and wouldn't comment when he was called out on it.
Oh, so he's brave too.
Oh yeah. There's a local.
Do you have a picture of this guy up? I want to see his
somewhere.
stupid face.
There's a local diner in Monroe that used to, years ago, they were hosting an all ages drag brunch show in the wake of anti-drag outrage. Before he was mayor, he was among the protesters falsely claiming this was sexualizing our children. He was doing that as he was campaigning to be mayor.
His head is exactly a cube shape.
There you go.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yes. By the way, since there were dueling lawsuits in the wake of that controversy, but since 2023, they only do adult-only drag shows. But as mayor, he's tried to get all drag shows classified as adult entertainment. The city council shot down that proposal. And the reason I wanted to mention all this is over like a week or two ago, this month, he sat for an interview with a legit Christian nationalist named William Wolf. And they talked about this guy's election victory because Burns loves talking about how he won this race.
See, I would be embarrassed about that.
I will play the clip for you. Get ready for this because he has the telling of the story of what happened. Let me play this for you, then we'll talk.
And these news broadcasters would come to me and to Bob and say, hey, listen, you know what happens? It's a coin toss. What would you call if it was a coin toss? And I'm like, man, I wouldn't. There's not going to be a coin toss. But, I would call heads. So that day when we tied, they said we had to sign over our right for a recount. Okay. So we could get it done right then and there. And I agreed. And then the other guy, Bob, he agreed. And then I walk up to the middle. They said, we don't have a provision for who calls it. And I literally was about to say heads. And I went up to him and I said, Bob, you call it. And then Bob calls heads. And they flip the silver dollar. It hits the desk. It rolls to our side of the room. At the time prior to that, I'd given an individual that you and I know my camera. And so she's recording it too. So there's no election interference. We didn't touch it, nothing. It rolls around the room, around it, but doesn't hit anything. Doesn't even hit the coffee cup that it lands beside, flips over his tail. And It was God. It was God's ordination. I knew it immediately. That was a mandate from him.
That last bit, it was God. That was a mandate from him.
I like that the fact that a coin, which is famously round, that it rolled around is for him like such a...
Can you believe this coin?
Like if you're making a movie or a TV show about it, you're going to show the coin flipping around to add tension. But boy, this guy can't tell a story.
Yeah, somehow God could not be bothered to find this guy one more vote during the actual election. But the coin flip is like, I can do anything I want. Well, I won with one coin flip, and therefore I can rule as if I won by a landslide.
Well, and this is just
by the way, Ron DeSantis in Florida, he won a couple years ago by against whoever he was running against by like a percentage or two.
Wow.
But because it's Florida, he's reacted to it as if he won by a landslide.
Because it's Florida or because he's a dictator?
Both.
Got it.
And the legislature lets him do it. By the way, during that podcast, William Wolf, the host, also claimed that the members of city council were persecuting Robert Burns for his faith because they said it's inappropriate to issue the anti-abortion proclamation, to which he says, Robert Burns says, I'm going to use my platform for my conservative Christian beliefs. Unquote. Which again, imagine if you're not a conservative Christian and any mayor says that, what would the reaction be from these same people? Double standard.
I mean, this is back to that Connor dude who was like, when he was like, yeah, I think Trump can do whatever he wants. Could a Democrat do whatever he wants? No. Like what? What? Why? Wait, why? Like, how can you not look at that and be like, oh, why do I think oh, Jesus Christ.
There you go.
And also, it's just so frustrating that men have decided that ceding 5% of their power means all-out war on the rest of us. It's really exhausting that like these white dudes who feel so entitled to power and so deserving of power that they will manipulate anything around them to be like, oh no, it's inevitable. Not only do I want to be in power, but God wants me to be in power. Did you see that coin flip around? Have you ever seen anything as holy as that coin landing on one of two sides?
He's a mayor of a city. His job is get some businesses in your community, fix the potholes, things like that. And he's like, I'm a culture warrior because God gave me this mandate.
And to what end? What has he done that has done anything?
In his mind, he's promoted Christianity, and that's his only goal in life.
He celebrated the fall of Roe v. Wade twice. Mm-hmm. And what was the other thing that he did that they censured him on?
And trying to take over the world.
Like... even that's the thing that fucking kills me is they get into power.
It's a no confidence vote they issued against him, saying you can't do these things. You can't issue proclamations on letterhead with the city's logo on it.
Like, so what is your like? These people work so hard, manipulate, kill, whatever they have to do to get into power, and then they get there and they're like the dog who caught the car. They don't know what to do with the power once they have it because their entire brand is being anti-woke, anti-immigrant, anti-whatever. And then they accuse us of being anti all these things because all they have is deflection and just, oh boy.
I will say, you know
projection.
What? Monroe is a city of over 30,000 people. I will blame some of them for this too, because the vast majority of people didn't give a damn enough about the mayoral race in 2023. Yeah, they didn't bother to vote. They didn't bother to vote for his opponent. That's why this zealot ended up with a victory and uses it now as his personal pulpit to spread Trumpism and Christianity. It is telling that there was a recent Latin Fest for Latino people in the community. It had very low attendance. It had very low attendance. Why? Because Monroe is seen as unsafe for immigrants.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah. And this dude is the public face of the city, which is part of the reason they're in hiding in his own community. So they also changed the law, by the way, in North Carolina. Long story, I won't get into details because I don't know them all. But they literally changed the rules. They were supposed to have a mayoral election this year. But they decided, for whatever reason, you know what? If you live in one of these cities, like Monroe, that has elections in odd number of years, we're going to change it to even numbered years. And that goes into effect in 2026. So this guy's not going to be up for re-election until 2026. He gets an extra year in office because of this rule change. But again, if the people in town want a mayor who prioritizes the entire city instead of just his personal beliefs, then vote for literally anybody else.
Yeah, but... I think there is a sense of people like being told what to do by like an authoritative white dude. I think other guys really respond to that well.
Yeah. I got one more story for you, and then I'll be done.
Like so much of our life is just catering to dudes' egos.
Oh, yeah. So Waterbury, Connecticut, that
sounds like the most charming place in the entire universe.
The
Waterbury,
for
Connecticut.
Like a new Gilmore Girls show.
Yes.
They can't figure out which flags should be allowed outside City Hall because they can't decide how do we allow Christian flags but say no to everybody else.
Oh, have we done these guys before? Is this just
done this type
much
of story
muchness
before?
With
But the basic story now is that for months, there's an atheist activist. His name is Chaz Stevens. He's been on a personal quest to challenge flag laws across the country because the Supreme Court basically says if you allow any outside flags to go up, you can't say no to them if they're religious.
Chaz Stevens just came up recently, right?
Sure he did, yes. So basically, anywhere he finds out there's a town that's flown a Christian flag, he has put in requests to put up his own flag, which promotes the Church of Satanology.
We 100% covered basically something like this with this dude.
So he's done this in other cities, but in this particular place, he knows that if they say no to him, it could be considered a city-endorsed religious message and therefore a potential First Amendment violation. And so anyway, the bottom line is in Waterbury, the whole situation, the way they've handled this has been almost comical. Last year, the city displayed the Christian flag, which is like a white flag, but in place of like the blue square with the stars on the American flag, it's like a red cross on it.
And not like the cool red cross that
Just
saves
a
lives,
red
just
cross.
a cross that is red.
Yes. Last
Got
year,
little
the
curly
city
keys, doesn't it?
displayed the Christian flag before the National Day of Prayer. So Stevens said, well, then fly my flag. So then the city changed the rule so that outside groups could not make any future requests, shutting down their open forum. And that meant this year they could not fly the Christian flag. Because they do have that option. They could say, oh, okay, well, we're instituting a new rule that says from now on, no outside flags whatsoever. Fine,
Which
you're
is
allowed
what
to
we
do that.
always want.
So the mayor of the town, Paul Pernaruski,
Whoa.
he said the only flags that could go up from now on are like the ones designated by the government to be like official flags. So that includes the U.S. flag, the state flag, the city flag, and those representing other countries. And then later on, he's like, oh, also, if it's a holiday, you can do that. So you could put up like a Juneteenth flag. Or a flag
have you ever
commemorating.
seen the
No, I
Juneteenth
haven't.
flag? It's awesome.
Okay, so anyway, but this still meant the Christian flag cannot go up outside City Hall in their town.
Okay.
And this naturally pissed off Christians in the community. And
So what has happened is that only governmental flags can be flown.
Yep.
And that bars everybody who's not state, city, national, foreign nationals. And the Christians are like, why are you mad at me?
Yes.
Okay.
And so what the city needs right now, though, because they don't have this in writing, they need an official policy regarding the use of their flagpoles outside City Hall.
And a few people sat down, had a sensible conversation, and came up with a workable solution.
Yes. The simple option is to say just no to all outside requests, but they don't want to do that. So, like,
Why?
because they want to find a way to allow the Christians to have their flag.
So this is 100% them trying to get that Christian flag. There's nobody
Yes.
here who's like, I think it's valuable to have one pole designated for flags that are of the moment. It's just, we want Christian national flag. Let us have it, please.
Yeah, and like the mayor has proposed a resolution that would confirm that the city of Waterbury property, anywhere where we allow flags to be displayed, it's not a public forum. But the city council can decide which flags are allowed to go up or not. And maybe they could say yes to one and no to the other. Like, he's trying to figure out how to make this work.
But it's never going to work.
So, like, by that logic, you could allow a pride flag, a rainbow flag, a Pan-African flag. You could put those up at the discretion of the mayor or the board of aldermen, but they could also say no to other ones for whatever the reasons. Like, he thinks this is a way we could get away with yes to some, no to the others. But that would still, but according to his rules, like, they still need a policy that allows them to say yes to the Christian flag and no for everything else. And you know how mad it would make Christians if they allowed a pride flag to go up.
they would lose their mind.
And not them. So recently at a Board of Aldermen meeting, there were a lot of Christians in the audience who spoke up, and they said, we need a more inclusive policy that includes our flag. And the mayor then...
So we want to name check the Christian
something.
flag.
So the mayor decides to chime in saying, he's like, you guys.
Stop it.
I am trying. Like, give me a chance. He tabled his own proposal.
Stop it.
He's like, let me have a chance to work on this. Because, like, wink, wink, I'm trying.
Oh, my God.
But clearly his goal is like, one, we want to avoid any lawsuits. So we got to make sure like lawyers are good with whatever we decide. But also, you guys, I'm trying to appease you. You got to work with me. I want to play you a clip of what this mayor said because he's not even hiding the fact of what he wants to do. Okay. This is a clip from his like long speech to the crowd.
As you know, the city hall is a public facility, and so we do raise flags here on a regular basis. And the concern had come up earlier this year, something we hadn't faced before, but a push to raise flags that I think we would all agree are universally offensive to put up there. And so I'm trying to work with Corporation Council in a way to come up with a plan that allows us to continue to do some of what we've been doing, probably not all of it, but to be able to control what we put up there so that we're not going to be compelled by a court to raise Satan's flag over City Hall, because that is something I don't think any of us would want to happen. And there are other flags as well that I think we could find all equally offensive. So,
such as?
Because I want to
forwards on to another
I
area.
believe the work that you're doing is going to make Waterbury a better place. I too am very religious. I belong to the Catholic Church, but I attend regularly. But I also, attend other churches here in the city as well. And I firmly believe that faith is going to be the basis that's going to fix a lot of the problems Martin talked about today. I think it's the lack of that faith and that foundation in this community, across the country that is causing so many of the problems that we have today, and we have to try to return to that. So I think that's critically important.
So in that, this guy said that there are some flags that I think we would all agree are universally offensive. That is referring to the satanic flag, which is just a church of one, Chaz. But all it says, I'm reading the entire flag, Ministry of Chaz the Bropostle, the Church of Satanology and Perpetual Soiree, Satan Loves the First Amendment. And it says in fine print, sponsored by Revolt Training, which is what Chaz does to try to help other people.
Roman Mars would
do what
not
he's doing.
like the design of that flag.
No, he
I can
would
tell
not.
you this right now.
Doesn't matter. But also, what did the mayor also say? He said, there are other flags as well. I think we could all find equally offensive. So his thing is,
What do you think?
He is saying, listen, we don't want some groups to be able to put up their flags. Not the Christian flag. That one's cool. I want to put that one up.
Yeah,
I think
that
faith
one
is good,
rules.
he said, basically. What did he say? It's the lack of faith that is causing so many of the problems we have today.
Yeah, okay. This is something that I really want to jump all over because this sort of thing of the lack of faith is the problem is wild, considering that Christianity has been running fucking everything in this country for a billion years. And the reason that they think things have only recently gotten worse is because in the 1960s or whatever, and white people got to make all the decisions and make all the media, and you saw Leave It to Beaver, and you saw these nice little shows, and people who were getting murdered and lynched in the streets didn't have social media, so they could not tell their own story. So the narrative that we've crafted around mid-century bullshit is this idea that everybody was so happy and every family had 2.5 children and the mom stayed home and vacuumed pearls. And that is a lifestyle that existed very briefly for a very few number of people. And I want to say the reason they could afford that is because they had good union jobs and the federal government was supporting people coming back from the war, white people coming back from the war. But this sort of false nostalgia that they've crafted is just what they're asking for are people who are oppressed to just shut the fuck up and leave them alone. That is all they are looking for. Because back in the good old days, quote unquote, the happy days, good old days, because people who were suffering did not make media. They did not have a voice. They did not get to tell their own story. And so white people got to make up the story of mid-century America. And black people were so happy because they had jobs and yada, yada, yada. And it was nothing. It was garbage. It was a time where women could get thrown in an insane asylum because their husband didn't like the way that she looked at him. It was a time that black people could not freely walk down the street in many parts of the country. And that is something they're thrilled to get to ignore. They're thrilled to pretend it never happened and will never happen again. But they don't care. They don't care about people who aren't literally them, which is the least Christian sentiment I can imagine. I'm done.
Yes. So I'm not a lawyer, but I can help him out. There's no way to craft a policy that says yes to the Christian flag and no to the other flags
Literally
they don't
everything
like.
else. Could you give me examples of other flags that exist, like the Juneteenth, the Pan-African I'm familiar with?
I think they probably don't want to put up the pride flag, even though
well,
they
I know
mentioned
it's the
that.
pride flag is on the
like
banned
that.
list.
But if an atheist group wanted to put up a symbol of sorts,
sure.
why not?
Can we have a flag?
Sure,
Friendly
just
atheist
make
flag?
one. Go do it.
Can somebody who's
we'll
North
merch it.
Carolina make a friendly atheist flag and try to
Yes.
fly it at the city hall?
In a message to a website, Chaz Stevens said he's glad that his request is making the city think twice about raising a Christian flag again. This is what he said.
Wow.
If they allow a Christian flag, a flag of the Druids, a flag of SpongeBob SquarePants, they are creating what is known as a limited public forum. And thank goodness we have this thing called the First Amendment, ... If they put the Christian flag up there, they need to put the Church of Satanology flag up there. And if they don't, that proves my point, which is favoritism.
There's a Druid flag, and
There
it's
is.
dope.
And he also, in an email to me, he said, government neutrality isn't optional. You don't get to fly one belief system's flag while blocking others without inviting a lawsuit. And trust me, I bring receipts, lots of them. So he's watching what this mayor and the aldermen do next. And for their sake, they better hope whatever policy they come up with is fair to everyone because he's itching to file a lawsuit if they don't do that.
Oh, yeah, and they are under a microscope at this point.
And it doesn't help that any lawsuit, if it was like this, you can just quote the mayor saying he's trying to do Christians a favor because he's openly saying it.
Yeah. Wow.
That's it. Let's stop there for now.
That was a lot of shit.
I had
Jesus
more.
Christ.
It's okay. We'll get to those next time.
Yeah, right.
Where do we tell people to go? You can go to patreon.com/friendly atheist podcast to support this show. Please do that. Please leave your reviews on wherever you get your podcasts.
You can always leave us a review on iTunes where I can access them. And this latest one is from Nola Mick. Ooh, probably from New Orleans. Come for the news, stay for the cursing. 5 stars. This is the great podcast, period. Love that. Jessica and Hemant create a conversation that I would love to be a part of, so I often find myself talking to my phone. Friend, you and me both. My husband has overheard me talking back to podcasts, and it's uncomfortable for him. There are not enough people in my life who express as much anger as I'm feeling about the current state of the world. Thank you to Jessica for doing that for me so I don't have to feel like the only angry cursing lady. That's really nice. Thank you,
Very
Mick.
nice. Thank you.
Those things mean a lot because I'll tell you what, most people don't care for my brand of anything. You can email us at friendlyatheistpodcast@gmail.com. We read all of them. I was going to say we read and respond. We don't respond to all of them.
We respond to many, though.
Most.
Yep.
And the ones that Hemant doesn't respond are the ones that I usually find because they're mean about me. And then I share it with all of my friends because I'm broken inside. On the bonus episode, I will tell you about a funny horseback riding incident that I had that I will go into detail on the bonus episode because I don't want my parents to worry and I don't think they know how to access bonus content. Mikey and I watched the movie Capote, which fucking ruled. I'd like to talk to you about that. We also watched the movie Better Man, which is among the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I just rewatched Ghosts, the UK version, and I would love to talk about that. And this is just, don't have to go into it, but fucking Malcolm Jamal Warner died, and it bums me out in a way I did not expect. He drowned in, I think, Mexico. Or Costa Rica. And he just seemed like a really good dude. And I recently listened to the Community show with commentary, and he was on it. And Yvette Nicole Brown is like so deeply in love with him. And truly, I feel weirdly sad about this. Like I felt like I knew him. I didn't even watch the fucking Cosby Show. I literally know him as Andre from Community. Anyway. So yeah, we will go into that. Do you have anything you want to talk about in the bonus?
We'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye.